All right, looks like we're live. Cool. Well, thank you all for joining Community Council for this January occurrence. We want to start by welcoming Sydney, who's going to be serving as a Community Council parent member. We will not do an official vote as there is an opening, so a vote's not needed. So welcome, Sydney. Happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. It's been Rick, Patrick, and I so far this year. With Patrick having a few conflicts, so it's nice to have an additional parent join us. So thank you.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back, Patrick. All right, so the agenda tonight will be going through the Houses program in the effects within the school, which has been a new addition this year. My kids love it, and so it'll be interesting to get Mr. Hansen's perspective on that program and how it's going. We'll then talk about Common Sense has a digital citizenship program that we are considering onboarding for the school. So we'll talk through that. And then we will talk through the concepts on the USBE personalized learning framework. And that is our agenda tonight. So I'll go ahead and motion that we begin.
Seconded.
Okay, great. So let's jump into it. Mr. Hansen, would you like to cover this first agenda item on the House?
I have a point of order I have to bring up. It's my job. Okay. We need to review the previous meeting minutes and approve.
Oh, thank you. Yes, we do. Thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow here, Rick. All right, let's find those meeting minutes. Okay, so Rick posted those on December 30th. They are in the files section. Maybe I can go ahead and share my screen and we can look at those together. All right, screen share coming through. I got alt tab because I can't see. Okay, so we kicked the meeting off. So last time we reviewed the dress code policy. So we had gone out and solicited feedback from parents and talked through the key points of feedback. Some of the highlights were that there wasn't really a need any longer for a hair color requirement. We were okay leaving up to the discretion of teachers whether they wanted to allow students to have hats, and kind of talk through some of these other points. We also wanted to reformat the dress code as a bullet pointed style list, which is easier to reference for parents. And then include language that the dress code should be reviewed annually. And we should take that offline from the community council to actually implement. We then reviewed the math goal data with Ms. Strader. Cadience Math, it was the first time this was implemented. So we reviewed kind of the framework, how it's going to work, reviewed that there's going to be year-over-year data. Talked about the beginning of year, middle of year, and end of year measurements and some action steps. And we're going to invite Ms. Strader back either in the February occurrence or the March occurrence to give us an update on the program and how it's going. And maybe that start of year versus middle of year progression.
She's planning on coming to our next community council.
Okay, great. So I'll note that as an agenda item for February. All right, and that was it. And then we closed and discussed moving some of these items to today's agenda, which we've already gone over. We will go over, and then we adjourned. Any concerns with the meeting minutes as they stand? Okay,
I'm
So-
motion to approve the meeting minutes.
seconded. Thank you, Rick. Okay, now we can jump into today's agenda, Mr. Hanson.
Okay, so a little bit about the house system, that's been going on this year. I think that informally, I think that we have a lot of positive feelings towards the house system. When I talk with staff members about it, they enjoy it. People are really, I was in Mr. Gunnarson's class today, and he's got his house on as his desktop background, and people are getting into, showing house pride for their house and stuff. And so I think that's fun, for the faculty members to see. I know that from an administrative perspective, I have a unique connection with kids that are in my house. It's almost like they feel even more bonded to me, I guess, if that makes sense. And so when they see me, because I get to interact with those kids on our house meeting Fridays, and things like that, there's this connection that they feel to me because we're in the same house. So that aspect is super positive. We've had different contests that we've done that I feel like have been good, friendly contests that can, help, students rally around each other to try to achieve great things. So I think that's been a positive thing. So if you're not familiar, some of the contests that we've had, we had the Spirit Night Trophy, we had the Food Drive Trophy, we've had a Service Snowflake Trophy. I'm missing one. What was the one that was in between those two? I think we've done like 4 trophies. Unfortunately, Amistad is like, they've won 3 of them so far. Revere has had won 1. But it's just kind of fun. It's a fun thing to do. I haven't really gotten any feedback from people that are new to our school as we through the registration process, right? We get them a t-shirt, we get them the bracelet, we assign them to a house, but it would be interesting to, when we get feedback, and I guess one thing I'll say is that I'm planning on getting feedback from both our staff and from students. And we have the kids are going to be filling out a survey on our school climate survey towards the end of January. And then, so I thought that would be the perfect time to give them an informal survey that we initiate, where they can indicate how they're feeling about the house system and how things are going. But for me, I'm seeing lots of positive outcomes. I feel like it's generating more participation, more pride, more cross grade level friendships, excuse me, more connections with staff, all those good things. But that's what we wanted it to do. But yeah, we'll send out a survey, and I think it would be great for me to, if we do the survey at the end of January, depending on how awesome I am, and if I could swing it for the February, I don't know, that might be too quick of a turnaround, but I definitely think at least by the March Community Council, we could have some data that we could look at from staff and from students.
Yeah, so it sounds fairly positive so far. Rick, go ahead if you have a comment or question.
I just have a question for Dan. When he was saying that he's missing data from new students, is he talking about kids who started this or who have joined mid-year? I take it. Is that what, just to clarify?
Yeah, because I'm super interested in that subgroup demographic, I guess, because I want to know, when you come in new to our school, does it help you feel welcomed and generate friendships quicker? So I am interested in trying to identify kids that are new to our school and maybe have them do, you know, obviously that population would be fairly small. I don't know how many kids we've taken on since the beginning of the year, but I know that our secretaries could figure that out. And I just think it would be interesting to see a new student's perspective about coming into a school and what type of impact the program is having on them specifically. So.
Cool, makes sense. So sounds like some of the benefits are that it helps kids feel connected to other kids more easily, helps that cross grade level interaction.
Yeah,
And that's some of the feedback I've heard from my own kids as well. They've run into, you know, someone with the right t-shirt on or whatever, and they're like, hey, you're in my, you know, you're in my in my school.
yeah. There's a lot of love within the houses, you know.
Or
and so
house, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just fun to see, and I feel like I see that in my interactions, and not just myself, but interactions with other adults in the building, like because they know who's in their house, and so I feel like there's that instant kinship and connection with some of those people, which is great.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, similar to Adam, our kids love it, just personally, and I also like see the same results as you, Dan. I think it's like in a way it's like a super positive thing,
Right?
And like from what it sounds like, it looks like the kids get really like friendly competitive with the contest. It's not like are bullying each other. It's more like friendly competition, which I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think if we keep things fun, I know that I've potentially fielded some concerns from parents who worry about that aspect, but I think that as long as I feel like the types of activities that we do in our house meetings are important, and the types of competitions that we do, and I feel like when we're doing positive things, you know, and it's not like a game, but like when we're getting food, or we're focusing on doing kind acts of service for the service snowflakes or something like that, that I feel like it eliminates the mean or the hurtful type of competition that sometimes you might worry that would come up. And I honestly have dealt with zero. There have been zero bullying incidents or anything like that regarding house versus other house types of conflict. I have dealt with none the entire year. So I feel like that's a pretty strong indicator, you know, that things are going well that way, and that the types of activities and stuff we're doing, I think, is promoting a healthy, you know, a healthy relationship from people from different houses and things like that.
Cool. So it sounds like one thing that we might want to consider doing differently is just gathering data around the performance of the program from students and such, just so we can quantify the performance. Is there anywhere else that you think we might want to do anything differently, or you know, any change in approach or anything like that with the program?
Well, can I interject a quick question? Because maybe this will answer this question too a little bit, Adam, is when you brought the program into King, like what was the initial objective you were trying to solve with it? And that might help drive like what data we want to look at collecting.
Like I said, we do a school climate survey, and so my feeling is if we see some positive increases in our school climate survey that we administer every year, then that could be an indicator too that our school-wide house program is having a positive impact on the school culture. And you know, the teachers are the ones that decided. You know, I've known about the program, and I thought it was a great program, or a good program that we could potentially utilize here at King. But we have a behavior committee, and the behavior committee focuses on a school-wide reinforcement plan that we have for the school. And they were doing an observation at another school that utilized the program, and they felt like that it sounded really cool. And so a large number of teachers that serve on our behavior committee approached me about you know, bringing it to our school. And so we have a committee that's called JSSC at our school that voted, and then they voted to approve it. And so we've implemented it. And I think if you asked any of the teachers on the behavior committee, why did they want to bring that program to our school? I think it's because they wanted to add some fun and some positivity to our school, and they felt like this program could do that. And, you know, I do feel like it's provided, you know, again, the culture with the students, but I think that it's been a real positive thing with our staff members too.
That sounds great. I just was wondering, and I first, like, based on that, I wonder if the school climate survey would be like just a good starting point, because that's kind of what the goal was, right? To like see if
Yeah, I
overall
agree.
atmosphere is getting better at the school, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could be a good indicator. So as
Is
soon
that
as
survey for students and teachers?
yep, yes, it is. So it'll be we have all the surveys that are occurring, or the window is open currently. So it'll be great to pull that data out and look at it, you know, longitudinally and see if we can see some differences and stuff.
Do you, so two things I had on that. I just was wondering too is, do we want to like survey parents at all or anything like that in large to see if they like it?
I think we could. I mean, parents definitely. I think if they're talking with their kids, they have a perspective, but they are kind of, out of all of the stakeholders, they're the most removed from the program. Unless you want me to start assigning parents to houses, Rick.
I would be Amistad. I love red.
You would be Amistad.
Yeah.
Well, if you knew what was good for you, you'd be Revere. Let's go.
Well, two of my kids are Revere.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And then
but we totally could send out a survey. Maybe I think it would probably be more simple and just an open-ended. You know, where parents could just write a comment or something like that, you know, about if they've discussed the house system with their kids and what their feelings or perspective about it is. But yeah,
I was going to say even a specific open-ended question on the survey, but it sounds like the current one is already open and out there.
The
sentiment survey.
The climate, okay. The school climate survey is out there and official and open, and so the surveys that I'm talking about would just be some school created surveys, formative surveys that can guide us and get feedback from our stakeholders. So
yeah, and then the other thing I was thinking too, and maybe this is you've already on the same wavelength as me too, is this might be a years long thing though, but wondering how like kids who are new, like how they onboard to the program and are acclimating to the school and all that. Like I'm just kind of curious, like it might be good to focus on those groups as they join, you know.
Yes,
but I think that's you obviously can't just, you have to pick. Those are years long things of kids, right? And so it's hard to do that.
Sure. It'll definitely take us some time, and you know, just like any program, you know, we don't want to flip flop super quickly or whatever. It takes, you know, several years of data to try to get an accurate picture of what's going on, and so for right now, I feel like it's been a positive thing. I think it's had a positive impact on our school culture, and so we'll collect some data, you know, to see if that's matching how we feel things are going, you know, and then make adjustments and stuff from there.
Yep.
Cool, makes sense. So the current plan is to make this a multi-year thing. And do kids stay in the same house year over year?
The kids stay in the same house, yep. And so we're definitely going to get feedback again about the types of activities and the things that we're doing. We do have a staff committee that, you know, is part of the house system. And so we'll get feedback from them on, you know, year one, what did we like? What did we not like? You know, I've talked with several principals that have the house system, and I feel like some of the, you know, friendly competition contests and things that we do are very fun. and some of the other schools haven't done anything like that. And so I think I feel like when I have conversations with some principals, they're like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, or we should do that. You know what I mean? At our school, like we haven't done something. And, you know, because I like to, when I was a teacher, I loved to play games and stuff with the kids. And some of these contests I just see as fun, positive ways to build house pride and then, you know, bring positivity to our school. So I think it's been a good thing.
Cool. Sounds good. Thanks for going over that with us. We'll look in maybe March to touch on this again, see if there's any data around it, see if we want to pursue anything further. Are there any other comments or questions before we move on in our agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay. So let's move on to the Common Sense Education, which is a potential school-wide digital citizenship program. Rick, Sydney, and Patrick, I'm not sure if you had an opportunity to go out and watch any of the videos on the website about this. There's a lot of them. There's videos from teachers' perspectives, from student perspectives, etc. So I watched a few of them and I thought it was interesting. One of the pieces of feedback I had was that it was a little bit difficult to key in on the specifics of what the program does. There was a lot of like generals in the videos, but it sounded really good ideas, like helping kids to understand what it means to be a good digital citizen, right? What are they putting out there? What does what they're putting out there into the digital landscape, you know, create from a personal profile standpoint, helping kids to be safe and know how to use social media, you know, in an appropriate manner and all those types of things. So I thought it was really interesting. I'd definitely be interested, though, to hear more of maybe some of the specifics about what the program would entail as far as like the actual implementation. Rick, Sydney, and Patrick, do you have any other thoughts as we get into this agenda item?
Admittedly, I did not watch the video, so I apologize, Adam. However, like you, I would be curious to know the implementation details a little bit. Is it free? Is this a free thing?
This is a free, yeah, this is a free curriculum. And, you know, to answer a couple of questions. One, implementation. So we have computer science standards that our computer science teacher has to teach. And that is what she bases her lesson plans on, is accomplishing these standards. Implementation of the digital citizenship or a digital citizenship program would be integrating the digital citizenship program with the computer science standards. So like if you, whatever lesson she's teaching on the computer science standard, she would find a digital citizenship standard that she could link to the lesson. So each lesson would kind of have two learning objectives, one that was related to the digital citizenship and then one that was related to the computer science that she's supposed to be teaching. So that's kind of what it would look like. I can share, do you guys want me to share my screen, show you the website and all that jazz?
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Okay.
So it's essentially going beyond teaching kids how to use the tools.
Right.
Right.
So there's
teaching them like not just the how, but the behavioral aspect of it.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the nice thing about, so Common Sense Education, you have educators, you have for parents, and you know, making sure this is the for parents. I use this as a parent with my own kids, which is why I'm kind of familiar with this program. But so you know, there's lots of different topics: cell phones, screen time, social media, privacy, online safety, and having something in guide to Minecraft, Fortnite, YouTube, TikTok. Like, I feel like there's a lot of good parental controls. Like, there's a lot of good resources on here. And that's, you know, we're talking about digital citizenship for our kids, but part of our responsibility in community council is making sure that our community and our parents have digital citizenship resources as well. And so that's just something that I like about Common Sense. If we look down here, so we have, I know there's like 6 different components. Let's see. What did I click on? Because my grade levels disappeared. Oh, right here, digital citizenship. Okay.
Dan, I have a question. Two
Yes.
questions. One is like, well, I guess one's not a question, one's a statement. We did highlight, by the way, one of our previous meetings, like I think our first meeting, that we might want more parental support for digital citizenship.
Yes.
This is an example where this could be. Side note, though, I saw the mention of like, just really quickly as you were scrolling, of like SEL. So I'm wondering, does this tie in? Can this also tie in besides computer science teacher? Could the school counselor also provide some of these lessons as well, or is that the scope of that?
They could. So like here, okay, so one thing about SEL is I feel like our school is doing a phenomenal job with SEL. And one of the reasons is because we have a super awesome school counselor. And we do have an SEL curriculum. And SEL is pretty broad. There's 5 different competencies that we try to address. And if you spread that over the entire year, still that's, you know, it's not super targeted. We have received some additional training that we're going to need to incorporate into our SEL curriculum map. And so that's going to spread out our focus on those 5 competencies because we have to incorporate some additional resources. And if we were to do that with the digital curriculum too, I think that would spread it out even thinner. And so, you know, we could, it says, I mean, if you're looking at my screen, we got SEL and Digital Life Resource Center. So is there some overlap? Yeah, I'm sure that there's a little bit of overlap with some of the concepts, you know, that are in the digital citizenship program. But I think that because, you know, we already have kind of a whole bunch of other emphasis that we're trying to accomplish with our current curriculum map, I probably would just say that we would try to have the digital curriculum be separate.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then just facilitated by our computer science teacher. So I'm just going to click here because I know that about digital citizenship. I'm trying to see if I can find the 6 areas. Let's see. No, let me click. Let's see. Okay, here they are. So you have these 6 categories: media balance and well-being, privacy and security, digital footprint and identity, relationships and communication, cyberbullying, digital drama and hate speech, and then news and media literacy. And so if you're wondering, you know, I haven't, because nothing has been implemented right now. You know, they do have lesson plans, and our computer science teacher would have to look, you know, at some of these lessons and look at how to integrate some of these lessons with her computer science standards, if that makes sense. And so this is so the thing that I like about this program is that it is, you know, filtered by grade level. And so media balance is important. Safety in my online neighborhood. I mean, you know, these I think are developmentally appropriate concepts for kids that can be reinforcing some of these standards that they have right here as part of the digital curriculum. So this is the overview. But Mrs. Looks like I would need to sign in to see that. Nope. Okay. Well, that's just a little bit about this. I was just going to say that there is a program. There's another program that is touted by the state, but it costs money. It's called like DigiResponsibility or something like that. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Or it's a combination of digital and responsibility or something. I have looked into it because it was state recommended, but that program costs money. And so I haven't looked, and I can't remember all the prices and stuff on it. But I'm familiar with Common Sense Media, and we would be working. I know that Mrs. Gee, our computer science teacher, sees a need for promoting more digital citizenship, and is excited about wanting to adopt something to try to help her reinforce some of these important concepts. And so that's kind of where we're at there.
Can I say, I like that idea, especially when it's free. You should be like,
Right.
"Yay, that's
Sure.
awesome." Getting it to the parents, that's the big thing, right?
Right.
I think during parent-teacher conferences, could you have this website up on one of your big screens? Do you have like a big screen TV?
We have two TVs in the foyer that
Could you put them around the school to let the parents kind of see it firsthand? Like, oh, okay, they can kind of see what's going on. And I think that'd be a good idea for parents to kind of see it during parent-teacher conferences as they're walking through the halls if a TV's up there.
Yeah, meaning like if we to explore, or like if
they can kind of explore, see what's going on in there.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good introduction for the parents to kind of see, oh, they're going to do this. Let's have them and their kids kind of go through the website a little bit.
Right. Yeah, I think that if we decide to adopt this particular curriculum at our school, that doing, putting handouts and flyers, and we do have parent-teacher conferences coming up in 3 weeks. I think that's a great idea, Patrick, to try to build familiarity with it. And let them know about this resource. They have an app. The app is what I use with my own kids when we're looking at different things and trying to decide on if it's, something that we're gonna, be viewing or whatever, or things like that. But yeah.
Because looking at it, I bet your school's the same way. I bet your counselor's overwhelmed with a lot of this stuff already with students. But if they can hear it from someone else, it can be reinforced, that digital citizen, on how to actually act online.
Right.
So I like that you're bringing it into two different ways that the kids can hear it.
Yeah. Rick, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I was just thinking too, like, I kind of wonder your thoughts too, of like how you would want to get parents involved with this a little bit. Like, maybe it's just as me, but I like the newsletter that comes out.
Okay.
Maybe it's worth, I know this is just more work though, when you create the newsletter, but it might be worth it to have something on there, like a little snippet for parents, like,
Oh yeah,
our digital citizenship thing, and something to do for like SEL.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I think we could totally do something like that. And I was gonna say that we also have our White Ribbon Week that we do, every year, and this would be a great. This would provide us way more resources for our teachers and for our kids. You know what I mean? So yes, we're talking about the computer science teacher, their role in kind of utilizing the resources from this during the year, but then the teachers during that White Ribbon Week, they have access to resources, and so I think this could be a really nice advantage for our school where it already has so many different resources, and it also has resources in Spanish, which I think is important because we do have that's our next highest subpopulation of kids at our school. So we have a lot of Spanish speaking families. So making sure that we have resources that are in their language is important. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a really good resource for parents in addition to for educators. Like a lot of the topics I'm seeing on the website are questions my wife and I have talked about at times,
Great, yeah.
So yeah, I think having a resource to turn to, especially a free one, seems really positive. So yeah, maybe we try and tackle it from a number of angles, like get it in the newsletter.
Yeah.
Maybe have it up on the TVs during parent-teacher conferences, and then make it part of White Ribbon Week.
Yeah. So maybe so do you guys feel good? We can maybe move forward and we can kind of use parent-teacher conference to kick off awareness about this curriculum and provide parent resources, and we can get those to teachers so that they can give those to parents, and then I can start including it in the newsletter. And then, because I want to say, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I don't remember when we scheduled White Ribbon Week, but we can build on that up until when we have White Ribbon Week, and yeah, we can have a kickoff thing.
I'm all for that. It should have happened 2 years ago in our country, or 4 or 5.
Sure.
This is my ignorance on this, though. Do we need to vote on that action?
We can.
I don't know what the protocol is.
Yeah, well, so here's the deal. Community council, it's your guys's, and I say your guys's, it's our job. Our job is to oversee the digital citizenship curriculum. That's part of our job as community council. And so
yeah,
I think it'd be great if we did a vote where you guys all feel comfortable that we're going to be promoting digital citizenship for our students and our parents in this way, so that if somebody asks you hey, how are you addressing this, you can say, well, we've adopted Common Sense Media as our digital citizenship curriculum at King Elementary, and that's what we use. And then we can talk to them about how we're integrating that curriculum in our computer science, that we are emphasizing it in weekly newsletters, and that we do a White Ribbon Week that utilizes the curriculum. So I think a vote would be good.
Yeah, sounds good. So why don't we do a vote? When we used to do votes in person, we'd do a blind vote. What did we decide on? As far as our voting method now?
I forgot. There was a way. I don't know if we said we put it in the chat, or I don't remember now.
I think we.
Yeah.
I think last year we
did. I think we could. Well, I know that we can message you a private chat, so we could if we want to do a blind vote, we can just send your vote to you in the chat. Is that what you would like to do?
Either way, I don't think this one's going to be a controversial one.
Okay.
Where maybe the budgeting and such could be. So maybe
Sure.
we look at a more formal voting method for the budgeting items.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just go around and say yay or nay.
I'll say yes.
Okay. Sydney?
I say yes as well.
Great.
Rick? Sorry. Yeah, I also say yay. Yes.
Okay, and I say yay as well. So that's 4 yeses.
Dan. I think Dan should vote. Do you have a vote too?
Yeah,
as well?
and I think that, I think if we feel good about, I definitely see that we need some sort of curriculum, and we can, as a community council, just we talked about the dress code and things like that, we visit annually. This is something we can visit annually, and so I think we should move forward with this curriculum. But if we come across something better, or if something else, we can make changes to our plan to make sure that we're promoting good digital citizenship for our kids.
And then I was just going to make a quick comment. So White Ribbon Week is, I have March 7th through the 11th. And then we just met about this on Tuesday at our meeting. And so I'll bring that back to Haley and kind of see how we can tie that into what we're doing for White Ribbon Week as well.
Okay, that would be awesome. Nice work.
Are you guys doing a flyer home for White Ribbon Week?
That's usually what we do. We haven't got quite in depth to that, but we can for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be another cool way to slot it in, is get it on a printed flyer back to parents, Okay, great. Any other thoughts or comments on this agenda item?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, we're going long on the topic. Do we want to? What data points are we going to be looking for to gather for this?
Great question. I was gonna say I can. It depends on if we're, I mean, again, if it's a school culture thing or if it's, because I'm assuming we don't want to collect data on if they know it, or maybe are we wanting to collect data from parents on if they utilize the resources at home too, because part of it too is we want parents to use these resources. They need to be aware of the resources, but we also want them to use it. So maybe if we collect data on usage, then we can see what type of impact we're having with the particular curriculum. Because it's one thing to like a curriculum or whatever, but if people don't like it or if they don't use it, then it might be missing the mark that way, you know. So maybe we could collect some usage data from community members.
I wonder if we could also just solicit feedback from the computer systems teacher. I forgot what
Right.
you call them.
We could, I mean, because
how
it's
they feel about it as they incorporate it.
right. Because it's, if I try to, I mean, I was gonna say, you know, if I have a cyberbullying incident, you know, I do, you know, I document it and everything, and you know, it doesn't happen super frequently. It happens occasionally, but the data is so inconsistent that I think seeing a decrease in it might be too hard to, you know, not good enough data to look at to see if it's having an impact that way. So maybe we can keep kind of thinking about it, how we want to try to measure it.
I think it's like totally fine to. I like the idea of just I kind of like what we talked about with just collecting usage maybe from parents and students and seeing if they like the program and the
Right.
faculty. And same with like the computer science teacher who's doing some of the implementation, just to know if like it's working or not for her
Right.
specifically too.
Sure. I guess we would just have to come up with a measurement tool to try to determine if it's working, right? And you know what I mean? Versus if they like it versus if it's actually impacting, you know, them and their digital citizenship. So
yeah, like I don't know if we can go so detailed to see like if I think we'd have to just solicit feedback from the community at large, I would imagine, for
right.
sort of this.
Maybe we do a phased approach. Maybe we invite the computer teacher, you know, like March or April, to come talk about how it's going, and then
I think
could inform, you know, if we
I
should
think
do a
that's a
survey to
good idea.
parents or something.
Yep. I think that's a great idea, Adam. Let's you know, if we're doing kind of a kickoff late January, I'd say let's look for an April or a May, and see how it's going. And then we'll plan on doing a kickoff for conferences, and I'll start incorporating the newsletter, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. Yeah. Then we could even, you know, plan something further for next year or something around it. So.
Okay.
Let's move on to our last agenda item, which is to review the concepts on the USBE personalized learning framework.
Okay. Well, I have two documents. Let me share. So you can see right here, I have a one-page portrait of a graduate, and I don't know how familiar everybody is. And then I have Utah's personalized competency-based learning framework. This is the one, oops, let's see. This is the document that I wanted to go over with because I thought it was important to review, and I'm going to go back in a second, but we have these different aspects or essential components of, so PCBL, personalized competency-based learning framework. And I thought it was important to review because in here we have educator perspective in all of these areas. And then it goes to the student perspective. And then the last one is the family perspective. And so I thought this was important for us to learn about, so that right here it kind of talks about what it is, indicators for learning, but then the promising practices is an important aspect. And so I don't know, we can go through all of these components, but I think that taking some time to make sure that our community council understands what the personalized competency-based learning framework is important. Our faculty studied the the educator perspective at the beginning of the year. Oop, too far. And so we went through all of these different essential components, and then they identified promising practices that they would like to try to incorporate with their classrooms. And so as we hope that parents can support the personalized learning that's occurring in the school through those family practices that we can kind of go through. This document right here is just kind of the overview as the USBE, or the Utah State Board of Education, is looking to try to shift our focus. So I'm just going to go over this really quick because we're really in a system overhaul a little bit for the State Board of Education. It says Utah's Portrait of a Graduate identifies the ideal characteristics of a Utah graduate after going through the K-12 system. These are aspirations not necessarily meant to be quantified and measured, but these are characteristics that begin at home and cultivated in educational settings, and they've broken it apart into mastery, autonomy, and purpose. And so we're hoping that kids are going to develop academic mastery, wellness, and that's kind of the self-awareness, self-advocacy skills, mental, social, emotional well-being. This is kind of all that SEL stuff. Civic, financial, and economic literacy, and then digital literacy, and that's kind of going back to that digital citizenship. So I feel like we are supporting the state's direction of the Utah's Portrait of a Graduate at King Elementary by implementing a mastery-based system, which should be occurring with our personalized learning. We're supporting it with our SEL. I don't know, we haven't quite got into this aspect of financial and economic literacy and things like that, but the digital literacy, what we're talking about with digital citizenship is definitely contributing to that. Personalized learning focuses on 21st century skills, and that's what a lot of this yellow is. So it's autonomy, and so making sure that our kids can communicate, critically think, problem solve, the creativity and innovation and collaboration and teamwork. And so those are all 21st century skills that we're wanting our kids to develop. And then right here we have, what is the last one? Sorry, purpose. So these are characteristics that kind of we're hoping that the kids will continue to develop: honesty, integrity, responsibility, hard work, and resilience. Grit, that's one of our core values at King. So I feel like, we're trying to support that: lifelong learning and personal growth, service, and then respect. And you can see right here, this is when they were kind of gathering data and everything. This was the development of the competencies, and we're in the local implementation phase of this. We're seeing changes occur on the district level as we're participating in that local implementation. But I feel like this document is important to look at all these promising practices and the different categories of how we can. And I think, as parents, reading the students' promising practices would be an important thing to do too. And maybe we can just kind of touch on a few of those really quick. So it says, purpose and vision: students are immersed in an educational culture of rigorous high expectations, empowering students to take ownership of their learning and providing flexible supports to maximize student growth and competence. And so, again, that's what we're trying to accomplish with, providing our students at King personalized learning. And right here, demonstrating competency rather than seat time as a primary measurement and pace of learning. You know, we want to focus on the mastery. Right here, this is super important. Access to asynchronous learning opportunities that are available 24/7. This is why we are trying to have all of our teachers put as many asynchronous learning opportunities on Canvas as possible, so that students are not limited when they can learn. If we have fulfilled several hotspot or internet requests for families in our community. Some of our families don't have the internet, and we're trying to make sure that we have equitable access for all of our families, so that if their kids want to learn outside of school, that they can hop on their Canvas classroom and that they have access to resources that can help them learn 24/7, that they have the opportunity to apply the knowledge they've gained and engage in cognitively rigorous tasks. I guess I'm just curious, and you guys can let me know, has anybody's child participated in a passion project or a personal interest project this year in the classroom? You can let me know.
Yeah, my son did one, and I think he's at the junior high level now, though.
Okay.
But him and his friends all got together and like filmed a video.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
I don't really know the specifics, but yeah, they did it. It was called a passion project.
Yeah, and the nice thing about the passion project is it may not be related to grade level content or curriculum, but it doesn't matter, because if it fosters a love of learning and it fosters reading and writing and research skills and all the things that come with doing a cognitively rigorous task, then it's helping our kids in all those things. So those are definitely some positive things that we're looking at. The last thing says experience a range of learning experiences at school, online, and in the community. Diverse partners, including families, create individual learning pathways. And so, when we're talking about creating individual learning pathways, that's only going to occur as the teacher has materials and resources available, but then also allows students autonomy to help guide their own learning, so that we can try to target learning opportunities that are appropriate for the child. And it kind of segues right into that student agency, because student agency, voice, and choice is so important in personalized learning. It helps them have ownership. If you look right over here on the side, and they have a voice and they make choices about their education. It helps them focus on metacognition, self-regulation, and reflection and ownership, which is those are all wonderful 21st century skills. Like, we need kids to really start, honing in on some of those things. And then right here, pursuing their passions. That's exactly what we want. If we want them leaving our school more curious and more driven to learn than when they get here. Accessing curriculum that meets their individual needs and reflects their zone of proximal development. I always tell everybody, and Patrick can attest to this, that typically in a classroom you have a 4 grade level span of ability level with kids. You got kids that are a couple grade levels behind, and you got kids that are a couple grade levels ahead. And so making sure that you are meeting the individual needs of kids is pretty important. Learning by employing flexible strategies, learning in the ways that are best suited to them. And that's the part that I love too, is the self-discovery that happens with kids, where they learn like what works for them or how they like to learn, where they can really use that metacognition, where they're thinking about their thinking and their learning and things like that. So I'm just going to skip in the interest of time. I'm going to go to so that's the student perspective. And I would just encourage you as parents to look at this document. It's in Teams, it's in the Community Council, and look at the promising practices of kids, being the mom and dad. And then I'm just going to hurry and go to the family perspective. So right here, some of these, are pretty common sense, or in that, identifying consistent times to discuss with your child about what they're learning, how they're progressing, maybe what their goals are, if they're accomplishing them. Resist the urge to answer every question their child asks, or even tell your kids that you don't know. I actually like telling my kids that when they're like, well, do you know this? And I'm like, nope. I'm like, but we can go learn it together. We can go figure out what the answer is. Seek to value both grades and learning through conversation about how their child is performing and what they're learning. Getting involved by attending parent information nights, etc. Seek opportunities to form relationship with teachers and leaders in the school, and then promote personalized teaching and learning with the community by sharing your experiences. Maybe I'm just going to hurry and go to the student agency part. So ask your child what they're interested in, help create a routine with them, and so that you can find out what they like to learn best, and then discuss the child's educational interests and support them in setting, planning, and aligning goals. And then, I would also say communicating that with the teacher so that the parent can really take an active role in allowing the child or creating a plan for the child where they can pursue personal and educational goals. Right here, monitoring progress towards the child's goal, and then upon achieving the goal, describe, what processes they took so they can articulate those things. Using questions to guide the child instead of telling them, so more inquiry-based or exploratory, where you're not just giving them the answer, but you're trying to help them figure out the answer. And then engaging the child with developing a routine to monitor assignments and homework. I think that's wonderful. I feel like I have conversations with my kids all the time about that. Hey, what's your plan? How many assignments, do you need to be completing to stay on track with goals and things like that? So anyway, in the interest of time, I'll be done, but I just wanted to highlight this document. I think it's a great framework. Like I said, our staff analyzed the educator perspective at the beginning of the year. And then I just would love to, get more parents looking at, the student promising practices and then the family promising practices on what they can do as we look to shift the educational system here in the state of Utah towards a personalized competency-based program. There you go.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
The framework is very good.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to take some time to get people familiar with it and
Right.
Such. So that was a very helpful overview. Before we close, any thoughts or comments, Rick, Sydney, or Patrick? Okay. If no other items, I would propose that we adjourn for today. Rick, if you'll post minutes, and then we'll work together to create a February. We have a student here of the elementary school joining us. Can you say hi?
Hi.
There we go. Case is sneaking into my office here.
That's great. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, but we'll get a February agenda going and go from there. So yeah, propose to close.
A technicality, I second the motion to close.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and appreciate all that you do.
Yep, thanks
So,
all. Have a good evening.
See you later.
Thank you.